Keyshot HD versus H Pro, is that really much of a difference? It is to me because there's a lot of features in there that I use, but you kind of have to, and there's also workarounds to the features that they do have. Whoops, let's go ahead and right click this one, and we'll go to, let's go to center and fit part. There we go. But you kind of have to look at the features. You can, I mean, I'm sure there's a website you can go to that's like, what's the difference between HD and Pro? And then you can kind of look between them and go, you know what, I'll never use any of these features. Then just grab the HD. One off the top of my head is when you go to render, edit, file, render. Here we go, render. You can go over here to render options, output. You can do render passes. So this saves me a little bit of time. Now you can do all of this stuff manually, although some of these might be a little more difficult than others. But I just like having render passes, so that's one thing I use all the time. I'm also not sure if you can go to like edit, add geometry, and add like cubes and cylinders and ground planes and all this stuff. So that's another useful thing. But then again, there's workarounds for all of those things. So do that. Let's go to miscellaneous here. And I think we do have a cone, and we do have an ice cream here, and we do have Jimmy here. So let's go to plastic, hard, shiny, and we'll go like, you get to be red, you get to be orange, you get to be blue, and you get to be purple. There we go. So we've got all those on there. And also we were kind of playing around a little bit with like going in here, double clicking this one, you can go to the material graph, and so we did do that. We put the noise fractal into the color. So there's a noise fractal, which is two slightly different colors. We want to kind of beef that difference up. We can go ahead and make this a little bit darker here. So what we're basically doing is kind of mottling up this here. Let's go ahead and scale that down a bit too. Just kind of breaking up that surface just a bit. And that's with our noise fractal. I guess it looks okay. Let's lighten that up just a tiny bit. I don't want it that obvious. Okay, and then on this one here, the ice cream, we also piped in a noise texture into the specular here just to kind of break up that specular. If we go in here to specular and the roughness, we'll go ahead and make that a little bit shinier. On the cone, we put in a specular, and then on this one, we also, I think, we didn't do it on this one. So let's go ahead and do a textures, noise, and we can pop that into the specular here. And if we want to see exactly what it's doing on our ice cream here, we can go right click here and do preview color. And now you can see what it's doing, so we can kind of know we need to scale that down. And you can also go to magnitude, and you can kind of increase that contrast here. And now if we go back here, turn off preview color, and then crank that roughness up, and we'll also make this a little bit brighter here. We're just kind of breaking up that specular just a bit. Let's go ahead and go to scale, and let's drop that down just a little bit. Something like that. So you can kind of play around. Why is it doing that? So you can kind of play around with that. And if you want to, of course, put this into different environments here, we were playing around with like interior spaces, put in a conference room. You can make it a giant. Let's see if ZBrush had any. Yeah, big old ice cream sitting out there. But I think we were just sticking with the conference room just to kind of get some interesting lighting. We can go to environment over here, change that color to like a dark gray or a mid gray, and then you can just render this thing out however you want. And it'll look like an ice cream cone. Go to lighting, change it to maybe a product render. You don't need to probably do a full simulation since you don't have anything too crazy going on. And now you can have your ice cream all set up. Cool. And the reason I do use Keyshot is the ability to, you have to get the bridge for ZBrush, although I should probably kill those here. So, okay, let's say we like this. Let's go ahead and close the Keyshot down. If you want to go ahead and remove some of these, what you can do is, I mean, I guess you could merge them down, but you don't want to lose your polygroups, which you won't if you merge them down, I don't believe. So if you do this one, I have a hotkey for merge, which is Control E, just like I have in Photoshop here. So we can merge these all down temporarily, and then we can go, you know what, sprinkles aren't ever going to land on this bottom lip here, so you can do Control Shift. Let's go select lasso, and you can say like, okay, we'll go ahead and get rid of these, and then we'll do Control Shift A. Actually, let's do Control Shift, hold down Alt, and we'll get rid of these. Control Shift drag to invert that selection. Do Control Shift A to grab all of those. Control Shift drag again to invert, and then you can just go to Geometry, Modify Topology, Delete Hidden. And then you can go back here to Split to Group Split. And that'll split them back out into their respective groups here. So you can kind of control. And you could also just, if you wanted to, when you originally made this cone, just when you did the top-down polygroup, you could just get rid of these polygroups down here, or make it a different polygroup, and then wherever these polygroups are, that's where it would land up.